GBS.
Hello viewer, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Anne Morimi and I'm your host. Welcome to Women's View. We are so delighted that you're joining us and we encourage you to interact with us. We are live on YouTube, we're also live on Facebook, and the handle is GBS Kenya. Kindly subscribe to our channel so that you can be able to watch the show and also watch the previous shows. We also have another channel for you to engage with us. The SMS line is 21144. So feel free to send in your questions, your comments, because this show is very interesting and I'm sure that you have a lot to say. Today in studio, I'm joined by three people, and I'd like to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. I'll start with the lady on the extreme right. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi viewer, my name is Deborah Joy Juma. Teacher by profession. I teach Kiswahili and CRE, a high school teacher, that is. And apart from that, I'm also an author and a poet.
Welcome to the show, Joy.
Thank you.
Or Deborah.
Thank you.
The lady next to Deborah, welcome.
Thank you, Anne. Hello, viewer. My name is Judy. I am a life coach. I'm happy to be with you today. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Judy.
Thank you.
Today we also have a gentleman with us. Karibu sana.
Hello viewer, my name is Mordecai. I'm an undergraduate student at Kenyatta University. I also do personal tutoring for those who would like to learn French and marketing.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So today we continue with part 2 of this topic. It's a very interesting and difficult topic to talk about, but we are happy that we're going to be able to be discussing it another time. The title is Intimate Partner Violence. Last week we started and we talked about the fact that there's so many, we're hearing a lot of stories about domestic violence, which is resulting in death, which means that a lot of people who are caught up in those situations are not able to leave, and by the time it comes to the forefront, it's too late. There's already a death. And one of the reasons that people remain in domestic in families where there's domestic violence or intimate partner violence is when they are children. They tend to say that they are staying in the relationship, not for their sake, for the sake of the children. And so today I'm very privileged because we've got 2 children. I don't really think they're children, but they are adults now who are in business and they're entrepreneurs. But you grew up in a household where there was domestic abuse and you've been able to overcome it. That is awesome. To be able to talk about it and to be able to help people who are in that situation. So thank you so much for joining us and for being able to share with us a very intimate part of your lives. So Joy, you were here on part 1 of the show, and you took us to the point where you had really bottled it in because there was no avenue for you to talk about what was happening at home. But then, despite the fact that you kept it in, when you were in university at some point, despite having gone through it from when you were a child, you started noticing external manifestations of what you were keeping inside. So please take it up a little from there. What happened? What did you start observing in your life?
Okay. By the time I got to 3rd year, I was an active student because the times that I would come to school, I would serve in the Christian Union, and I was also influential in class for the sessions that I attended the classes. So there are these days when I go to class and I would realize that I just woke up and I went to class without showering and without doing anything. And then there are also days when I would just in the middle of the night, I would find myself at the market. Sometimes I'm not dressed up. Maybe I have my pajamas or my night dress. Or sometimes I would even find myself with no shoes. And I didn't know how I got to the market. Let's say, sometimes I would find myself in the bushes and such like places. So I knew something was wrong.
So you'd probably be you'd find yourself already at the market,
yeah,
and then that's when you'd come back to your senses.
Yeah, and by then it would be around 2 a.m. Yeah.
It can be very late at night.
Yeah, so I have to walk back to school. Now, as I walk back to school, I'm now asking myself, how did I get to this place? And where was I
Yes.
before I came here? Yeah.
How did that make you feel? I mean, it's very...
Okay, I cannot really explain how I felt, but it brought about a lot of confusion in my life. And also my roommates started questioning my behavior, because they would wonder why I leave at night. And sometimes they would just be shocked, like I'm back, I'm dusty, and it's in the middle of the night. And sometimes I would instruct them not to lock the door.
Yes, because
Yeah.
for you to be able to have access when you come back.
Yeah.
And that, of course, would put them in an insecure
True.
situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, one of them asked me, are you really okay? And then I used to say I'm okay, and of course I was a very smiley girl, happy here and there. So nobody would realize it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, Judy, you talked about how we tend to normalize domestic violence. Basically, that meaning that we tend to not talk about it, and then our life moves on as normal.
Yes.
And then the fact that it's happening and none of our neighbors are interfering or coming to intervene, that also is a way of normalizing it.
Yes.
And usually the reason we do this is because we think we can handle it.
Yes.
But as you can see, at the point where Deborah reached, it means that though she thought she was managing it okay, she started having some manifestations that were very weird.
Yes.
What would you say was happening to her at that point?
You see, we have mechanisms in our bodies that help us cope with situations,
Yes.
but you can only cope to a certain extent. There's a point your own strength fails,
Yes.
you snap, and that point you are so much autopilot. As I listened to her, I realized she was not even aware she's going out at night. For her, night and day were the same. And she would realize it is at night when she's in the bush.
Yes.
Think about the risk that she was putting herself into,
Exactly.
bearing in mind she was not aware.
Yes.
She would be raped on the way.
It's possible.
You'd imagine that.
She could even be hit by a car,
Yes.
an accident.
And when you look at it, you realize that our body hits the end.
Yes.
For her, I'm interested to know how she coped after that.
Yes.
But I think it's good to realize all of us, in our level of stresses, we get to that point.
Yeah, we get to a breaking point.
You break, and when you break, it is just done for you. You'd see as we walk in the street, there are these people we call mad. Someone said this person has been bewitched.
Yes.
But from her story, it tells you these people reached
They
at
reach their end.
I actually remember there was a day I was coming from the market at around midnight, and then I stood in the middle of the road. Yeah. Then there was a vehicle. There was a vehicle which was over speeding, and when it got to where I was, that guy hooted so loudly.
Yes.
Yeah.
To get your attention.
Yeah, to get my attention. And he was there abusing me, telling me, you university students, you're very careless and such like things. And I just left that place. So that is the time, actually that is the night that it hit me, I'm not okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Because-
experience
yeah,
helped
that
to sort of shake
experience,
you up a
yeah,
little.
true.
Yes. And we'll get back to you, Deborah. But I'd like to talk to Mordecai a little. Mordecai, tell us a little bit about your early experiences when you were a child. At what point you began to notice that there's some violence happening at home or something that is off? Because when you're a child, I don't even think you'd be able, what term would you even give it, you know?
Okay, so when I was a child, I was very passionate about church work because my father used to be a pastor.
Yes.
So I was actually running a parallel church at home with the children of the village, you know, and we had our own building.
Oh, that's nice. That's
So
interesting.
when I realized that violence was at home, when I saw my father missing from home
Okay.
for more than even 2 days or 3 days, he could not come back.
Yes.
And my mother was not speaking very well to me and to all of us.
Yes.
She was very harsh. And at this point is when I realized that something was amiss. Yeah.
You started having question marks.
Yeah, I started having question marks as a young man. What is happening
Okay.
at home? Yeah. I couldn't go and consult my parents for homework. My mother would tell me she's busy or she doesn't know, or she could tell me ask your father and your father is not around.
Yeah. So that is basically neglect.
Yeah.
It's like absenteeism sometimes because your father would not be present for 2 or a few days after an incident. And then even though your mother was present, she was not really present.
Yeah.
You know, presenteeism is what it's called. She's there in body, but she's not, you're still neglected despite the fact that she's there.
Very much.
Lucky for you, you had 2 older sisters ahead of you. Were you able to share the experiences with them?
I kept off sharing experiences because my sisters went to a boarding school, so I was alone at home.
Yes.
So apart from running my parallel church program, okay, I used to share with young children, but for my sisters, I only saw them when they came back after school during the holidays, and we couldn't really talk a lot because at times Debbie was too much into reading Christian books, reading chemistry books, and doing hymns. So I could really ask her for big bones, sweet things. Then after that, there were no stories about family. Yeah.
Okay. And actually, you talked a little bit about that last time, Judy. You said that people cope differently.
Yes.
And for Deborah, one of her ways of coping was actually excelling in school.
Yes.
What about you, Mordecai? Were your grades, did you take the same approach?
Okay, so for me, my story is a little bit different because at class 8, the thing at home really affected me. So when I joined Form 1, I must say I was a little bit confused.
Okay.
So my grades really didn't accelerate. But for me, my prestige came when in languages because I used to really like talking a lot about politics. So the grades could only shoot up in languages, but in other subjects, it was just that way. In class, I couldn't understand. The teacher would say, come consult. I didn't have time for that. I was just existing. Yes.
It's like you're just living from one day to the next.
Yes, it's like a routine, just going through the system. And from one, that was it.
Yes. Were you in a boarding school?
Yes, I was in a boarding school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you happy to leave home or you preferred to be home?
When I left home, I was not really very much happy to leave home. But remember, at this time, we had left our matrimonial home.
Actually, I want us to talk a little bit about that because you remember how Deborah talked about it, that she was in school.
Yeah.
And one of the teachers told her that this time, when you go home, you're not going to go to Kitale, you're going to go to Bungoma.
Yeah.
Well, for you, the experience was different because you were actually there when the move
Yes,
happened.
when we were moving out.
Can you remember what happened?
Yes, I remember there were... I thought actually it was something like a ceremony or a celebration the next day because there were many things that were coming home. Little did I know that it is the neighbor who are returning the things that belonged to us. They had borrowed.
Your mom maybe had told them to leave it.
So at 4, I saw a car coming at the compound, 4 a.m. in the morning. So I was a little bit shocked. I asked Mom, what is happening? She told me, stop questioning me. You do as I say. So we moved into the car and went to another place.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you there? Did you have other siblings at that point? Or?
Yes, at that point I had 2 brothers who were actually twins. They were very young, so I was just taking care of them. They had not even begun talking.
Yeah.
Yes.
They hadn't. They were very little, so
They
for
were
them,
very
they don't
little.
even have any memories of the situation.
Yes.
So do you have? Deborah told us that for her, how she discovered that there was something that was amiss at home was she'd hear her mom like crying out at night, but she would never know why her mom was crying. Until one day when she was a little bit older, she was able to connect that the mom was crying because her dad would hit her. Do you remember something like that also, like physical violence actually happening in your home?
So as Deborah said, there were those cries and screams at night, but I was very young, so at night I could just sleep. I'm a person who likes sleeping, so I would sleep. Then when I wake up, everything is fine. There is breakfast on the table. Maybe the church members have brought everything, all the food. So I didn't really come to the point of realization that there was a problem.
Yes.
But Deborah was older and she was more sensible, so she raised the alarm. Yes, and that's how I knew that there was a problem. There was something that went amiss. Actually, there was a time when Dad could actually beat up Deborah also and beat Mom also. Yes, but I shied off as long as I was being provided with my daily needs. Yes.
So you managed to escape that?
Yes, I was very silent.
You just kept quiet?
Yes, I just kept quiet. I remember there was a time Dad could bring like meat at home. Then Mom says, nobody should touch that meat. Then my sister, the elder sister, would cook the meat. Yes, and I could silently eat and pretend as if I've not taken anything. So she could be caught alone.
So she'd be in trouble on your behalf.
Yes, normally.
Yeah, that's how big brothers can be sometimes. It's okay. So somehow, despite the situation in your home not being very comfortable,
Yes.
there were happy moments.
Yes, of course. There are very many happy moments. Like when we used to go to church, we could make cakes. You know, those days they were something good, yeah. So mommy would make a cake and it would be something really huge and share with friends. And so,
church
wow, your mommy is
members.
a good cook. Those were very nice moments, yes.
And you do have good memories.
Yes, I do have good memories. I used to rap in church, do all those things. But remember, it was back then, so rapping was taken as something of
Very
more
different.
secular.
Yes,
but
that's true.
I'm glad some people accepted it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Judy, I want us to talk a little bit about that. Because another thing that is usually very tricky about intervening in a home where there's domestic violence is that it's not there continuously. Maybe it has seasons. There are times when it's very rough. Then there are happy moments. So is that, what can you say about that?
It's a setup. In our community, we are taught to keep quiet on issues. You can listen to these young people say that it would happen at night. In the morning, everything is in order.
Yes.
Remember, it's almost a communication from mom and dad. Whatever happened within our walls
Yes.
should not go out. So this become very internal, that even you are protecting your home from the intruders.
That's true.
Unless it's spoken of, unless you, as a community, we come up and say, when there is domestic violence, let's speak.
Yes.
The people in the family won't speak. And the abuser will always thrive as long as no one is calling it out. And this is where the community has to come in and say, there is violence in that home. The members of that home will feel protected and ready to speak about it. As Kenyans, if we will never wake up and say there is violence in that home, I promise you that that home will continue having violence. Because the people in there are already so intimidated by the violator that they cannot speak for themselves.
Exactly.
As for the children, Mordecai said something very powerful. You know, habits are not taught, they are caught. The dad was a pastor, so he had his own church. You get?
Yeah.
And the young man, maybe we can get a few things from him. You would imagine in that church, his own church, he behaved like the father. That things are bad at home, but when you go to church,
Praise the Lord. Yeah.
that's why he
normal.
tells you he had very happy moments. Happy moments because he's elevated as a pastor in his junior church.
Yes.
His mother is a perfect cook, but that did not protect Mordecai from going through pain. That's why when he went to Form 1, he's telling us he snapped. Because there are moments the realities will come and say, yes, what is the reality of life? The reality of life is that my home is in disarray.
It's in this.
My mom is paining.
Yes.
I cannot help her. So everybody in this home has a cry of help.
Yes.
Who will come in and save them?
Yes.
And I think as parents, that's where we come and ask ourselves, it is our work to protect our children.
Yes.
In this setup of domestic violence, do we really protect our children? And in
That's a
most
very
situations, we don't.
Yes.
That's why as they grow up, you'll find manifestations in people's life. That you'll find young adults who are really unruly. You ask him, why do you drink? The first thing he tells you, it's none of your business. Remember, this is supposed to be hidden. This is my thing. And in my world, I hide my
Hiding the
I hide the pain, I hide the things. And most of them never get the intervention of counseling that these two did. And you find there's a lot of trouble out there, which is coming up from the home we are growing.
That's true.
I think we really need to ask ourselves, how are we protecting our children in this home?
Exactly.
Yeah, but and there's something that I also want to put across when it comes especially to neighbors intervening. I remember, I don't know whether you remember the neighbor who came in a certain night,
Yes.
a certain guy who lived near our home. There's this man who came and he sort of sided with my dad. He didn't hear the story.
Okay.
He didn't want to follow up, but he chose to side with my dad. And I remember my dad saying this and this, pointing at me and my mama, saying this and this are in the same group. And so instead of helping, this person came to even tow us.
To fuel the
Yeah,
fire.
to fuel. And now from that night, actually, we picked it. Our parents started taking it like I am my mom's favorite and my sister is my dad's favorite.
Yes.
So From that, I even remember when we went to Bungoma, there was a feeling of my sister is coming to our place.
Oh.
Yes, and there was also, because it got to a point where Dad would even take my sister out, and we are just in the house. Yes, leave us. And then he would sometimes even come and buy her some stuff, maybe clothes and whatever. And for us, we are neglected. We are just ignored, like we don't exist. So sometimes even when we are intervening to help, we should not go in to fuel the violence, but we should go to help. Yeah, we should not
take sides.
Take sides, yeah. Because from that point, and even up to date, my sister and I, we don't have a very good rapport. Okay, we are siblings, but we don't have that good rapport because there is always this feeling of my sister feeling she's at my mom's place, our place. Yes,
it is not
yeah,
true,
it's not supposed to be that way.
But it's
Yeah,
told to her from such an early age, and she believed it.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting that you bring that up, because it's like somehow each parent who is caught up in the violence tries to pull children into their side.
to their side.
And you know now the children get caught up in something that they have no
idea. Yeah, and then like at times they go to a point where my mom is to pay for me fees and my dad to pay for my sister. Yeah.
Okay.
And you see the effect of that is the dad might be more powerful because there were moments when he owned everything at home. So he could easily pay fee by selling everything, selling the big trees, the agricultural products, and then pay fee, then the rest he could enjoy himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he would not feel obligated to pay fees for the
rest of us.
And honestly, that's one daughter, and he's got another daughter and 3 sons.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe the other 2 are not in school,
No,
but the
not.
2 of you.
Yeah.
So for you struggled when it came to fees. I remember we talked about that.
Yeah.
There were-
Jody, we wanted to say something. Please interject.
I wanted to say something about your dad's strength. In our community, we are talking about a very patriarchal society.
Yeah.
Remember, your dad was a pastor, so he was elevated in the society. Anybody who would say anything against the man of God was looked at a person who is not obeying God.
Okay.
So it's about sensitizing the society to understand that it's not about the man, it's about the reality. And you have to be very strong. It's something that has to be sensitized every time to let people know that you have to speak out. In our community, it's not very normal. It's a deliberate decision that we have to make to speak about domestic violence. I wanted you to pick that it is not normal. Your dad's friend did not have a choice. Yes.
But why did he go? You know, okay, of course he's not here to tell us his
Yeah.
reasons
Yeah.
behind it. But you know what we're saying is when the community intervenes, they should not intervene and try and take sides.
Yeah.
It's to intervene and
To help,
bring calmness to the situation. Or how should they intervene? Because you see, that's an intervention that they can both
I think
remember,
our
but it was
first
not
point
appropriate.
is to recognize
good.
that in the society young people grew up in, it was a very patriarchal society.
Yes.
So daddy roles. In this society, daddies are not questioned. Even when this person tried to do it, he needed other people to support him. Maybe he started it and it became so hard on him. So he decided to toe the line.
Okay, maybe he was put down anyway.
Yeah, it's a societal responsibility. It cannot be a one person. My point being that in a community where there's a family that is going through domestic violence, this is where Nyumba Kumi comes
Exactly. That's
in.
what you mean, yeah.
It is not one person, because one person will feel
Even intimidated and unable to
Intimidated.
help in any way.
yes. Two, the children in the house need to be empowered a lot. The community, as a society, we need to talk about domestic violence more to empower everybody. The lady need to be empowered. The children need to be empowered. The society need to be empowered, because we are not operating on a platform that accept this kind of a scenario. When it comes to parents taking sides, I want you to see it from your parents' point of view, that they also had issues from the families they were growing up from. When they come, your daddy doesn't want to be hated by the children.
Despite his...
Despite, it is not a decision that he makes that I want to come and beat my wife. There are also forces that are pushing him to do it. And that's why you found there were sides taking.
Okay.
You were blamed to side with your mom, which you had no intention, and even your other sister. So these are points that you need to look at, and look at your sister and reach out and let her know that now I understand. it was not your fault, it was not my fault. It is something that was beyond.
There's a lot of healing, and you see, from one
Yes.
situation, there's so much harm, you know.
Yes.
And sometimes that's why we're saying that it's better to actually leave. And let's get back to that, Mordecai. Do you remember the day that your mom left?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it is that actually eventually made her leave? Of course, you know, last time we talked about the fact that this is a conversation that you've never talked about with your mom.
Yeah.
Even when you were adults, you grew up, she was not comfortable enough to talk about it with you. So this is maybe just your thoughts about what could have caused it.
I can make several speculations.
Yes.
Of course, I cannot question her over that because I
she's not
fear,
open
yes.
to- yeah.
But what I can say is that there reached a moment when things were disappearing in the family, in the home.
Okay.
So the homestead used to have a lot of cattle, a lot of agricultural products, trees covering everywhere. But you find that they are missing one by one. The cattle, daddy comes and takes everything, takes everything. So it's just a silent home. Me, my mom, and the children who are crying.
And no
And the
explanation.
dad is not around, and there is no explanation.
Yes.
At this moment, I had dropped out of school
Because of lack of fees.
because of lack of fees. Yes, I was just staying at home. But lucky enough, there was a lady who again helped me to get back to school. So I think it reached a point where mom saw there's no benefit I'm getting from this house. She felt insecure, the second thing, because the neighbors, as Debbie has kept it, they were against her.
Yes.
You see, so it reached at this point where she said, I think I can carry my own cross. Let us go and try out a new life. And that's why she moved out.
And so she did it, of course, at the time when your dad was not there.
When my
Basically,
dad
it was running away.
Yes, he had no idea about it.
Yeah. And how did you cope? Because last time you talked about it, Deborah. Here you are, you're living in a farm. You have a huge compound. You have a big house.
Yes.
You have
we
neighbors.
even had a play field.
Yes.
For football.
And then you go now to your mom's home where she was raised. And you got a house that was, I think, a one room or...
Yes, very small. So as I moved in there, I started, okay, let me say, privatizing my life because the friends here are new. Of course, kids get used to each other very fast, but here I have a problem, a personal problem, because I will miss my church, I'll miss the compound, I'll miss the big
miss
and
the
good
old
things,
life.
yes, the old life. So I started keeping it to myself, and life was really tricky because at the same time, my mom could not have enough money to employ a maid or somebody to take care of the children.
Yes.
So I could take care of the children at the same time and go to school at the same time. Life was really difficult at that time.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's how come now even your younger brothers started looking up to you as their caregiver.
Yes.
And now even as their father.
Yes, they started looking at me as their father because, okay, I even started having some kind of bond for the children because I said if I will be a father one day, I would want my children maybe to have a good life, such like things. So I could fake a fatherhood. So I could go and buy them something. So if I've been sent money by my sister to get them, to buy myself something, could save and buy for the kids, such like things.
Which was very kind and
was
generous of
good,
you.
yes.
But you see, you're being forced to take up a role that is not yours and that is not at the right age. Honestly, when you're in class 5, I think you're probably around 12.
Yes.
You should be enjoying your childhood, you know?
Yes.
And you see, all these are the effects that we're talking about, the effects of intimate partner violence.
Yes.
Yeah? They really affect the children negatively.
Actually, last time we discussed one thing, that you find these children from broken home take two sides. Some of them turn up to be very responsible because they are really empathizing, sympathizing with the parent who is so struggling. The other ones become very bad because they want to communicate to the other. They are bitter. They are really fighting, and they don't notice. They become criminals. And when you look at them, you say, these children have no manners, but they are dealing with too much in their hearts.
Yeah, they are looking for ways of coping.
Yes, because you can imagine a child who is in class 5 becoming a father.
Surely.
The natural instinct is that I have 5 shillings, I need to buy a sweet for myself. But now I'm giving a sweet for the
little
I'm
one,
already
not for
a
me.
dad. It's a very sad situation. And many times because the mommy is going through too much, they don't notice it.
Yes. In fact, they're happy with the help, to be honest,
Yes.
because they're not able actually to keep the home going normally. So they even ask you to actually help. So guess what? We need to take a break. Viewer, thank you so much for being with us up to this point. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Thank you.
is now easy with EasyPay. When you shop at your local supermarket, fuel your car, dine out, book a flight, make other payments or pay your bills, you want simplicity, security and convenience. It's accepted everywhere you see the EasyPay sign. And it works with other mobile networks too. What's more, you can withdraw your cash at the supermarket till where you see the cashback logo. Get your Equitel line or download the Easy Banking app today because Kulipa is now easy with EasyPay.
Hi, my name is Zawadi. At Mahanaim, I studied to qualify for the IGCSE through the Cambridge International Educational Program.
We Mahanaim International High School students enjoy extracurricular activities such as joining GBS TV club, taekwondo, cultural dance, orchestra, swimming, foreign languages, community service, and much more. I believe this unique experience I gained here will go a long way into strengthening the future me.
The teachers and other ministers at Mahanaim spared no pain in running with us until the end of the mile, until we secured all of our goals. And that's how I passed my IGCSE exams.
Mahanaim International High School cares about my future. Beyond our education, Mahanaim nurtures us to have bright and healthy mind so that we could become great future leaders.
People have dominance over themselves. Why? Daddy, no money. Give me money, I'll buy for you. Hey, Daddy, money. Hey, I know, Daddy.
Can the Ethiopian change his skin? Or the leopard its spots?
예수님이 우리의 모든 죄값을 다 지불하시기 때문에 예수님 다 이루었다라고 말씀하셨잖아요.
So Jesus paid for all the wages of our sin. That's why he could say it is finished.
Yesu alipa mshahara wa dhambi ya deni zetu lote, ndiposa akasema kwamba imekwisha.
Everyone, God is like the supercomputer.
Upendo wa Mungu ni kama hii supercomputer.
How many of you use your real names on Facebook? Wengine ni sweetie pretty.
You must succeed in being an eagle and not a chicken.
I'm seeing myself owning the biggest media house in Africa. Yes, I could employ you, in fact. Yes.
All right, now it is going to another direction. But that's a question.
When you are born and when you grow up, now you do the work. You become a person who likes the country. You understand, right? I mean, not getting a job at Kenya Power, right?
And you know what? Who you are online is exactly who you are offline. And who you are offline is who you are online.
제가 여러 군데 가서 강연을 많이 해보는데
So I've been to many places to give lectures.
우나일레 와서 와서 이러면
Whenever I say "Unaile wa sasa,"
인사를 대답을 해요.
they respond with their eyebrows.
There is a card that makes paying for almost everything easy like ABCs. No need to make trips to the ATMs to withdraw money or carry cash around. That's the Equity Bank Visa card, accepted everywhere you see the Visa sign. Use it to pay for food and drinks, fuel, shopping, pay for your Uber ride, shop online, travel and hotel bookings and so much more. Pay conveniently and free of charge. Card security is guaranteed thanks to the chip and PIN technology that protects your card from fraud. Start paying with your Equity Bank Visa card now and enjoy the convenience of not carrying cash.
Hello viewers, welcome to a topic that is widespread, intimate partner violence, and in studio we've got adult children who have grown up in a home where there was domestic violence, and we're looking at the effects it had on them and trying to understand what could have been done differently and what couples going through domestic violence can do differently to be able to reduce the negative effects that we're hearing here repeatedly. So Deborah, let's come back to you. At this point when you started having this, I don't know, basically it was a mental illness because you had taken in so much, not had anybody to talk to, and now you are, and your friends now have started questioning. Did you open up to them by any chance?
Yeah, I opened up to one of my roommates, and then she advised that we go to the health unit, the school health unit. When we got there, we talked with the nurse, and she prescribed post-traumatic stress disorder. So they could not treat it at school.
Okay.
They referred me to a general hospital, but the bills were catered for by the campus, by the school. So I went for medication. I went and saw a psychiatrist, and then I was given some medication for 30 days. So after the 30 days, I would come back and they assess my progress. The first night I took those medicine, I felt like the whole world was, I cannot even explain
the side effects.
Yeah, they said the first day I took that, the medicine, you know what, I told myself I'm not going to take this medication. And I didn't know that when you stop it, it again affects you more.
It's worse.
Yeah, it gets worse. So I stopped taking the medication, and now that lady made a follow-up. But again, she shared it with other people. You know, the brain is going through this and this and this. So like everybody now started questioning and asking me. Yeah, we hear this and this. Is this true? And that even made the whole thing. It became worse for me. Now I had stopped taking the medication. I'm not telling anybody. When I report to the nurse at school, I just say I'm taking medicine. I'll go back on 30th. So at around 15th, I became very suicidal.
Wow.
Yeah, I became very suicidal, and I even tried committing suicide using overdose. Yeah, I took an overdose of Panadol. I didn't die, of course. I didn't die. Yeah, yeah. But it was an emergency. I went to hospital again. I was treated and I came out of that. But now from there, the counselor at school had to pick it up now.
That's true.
Yeah. So I didn't like counseling because the first time I went for counseling, I was told to explain everything. Yeah, you were to say this, and I was so emotional. I didn't want to talk.
This was the first time
the first time I'm talking about it. So I went for 2 sessions and I gave up. So I decided to shut everyone out of my life. That girl, my classmates, and even the psychiatrist, and just everybody, to shut them out. And they said, I'm going to just live my life. Whether I'll become mad, I don't care. Because at this time, I still need money. I've stopped doing the household chores. I'm no longer a house help. I need money. So what I did, I went and sought for a job somewhere, a school to teach in that state.
Oh my.
So I left school, and I got employed, and the school that employed me, I was employed to teach chemistry Form 1, history Form 1 and Form 2. And remember, I'm a teacher of Kiswahili and CRE.
I know, I'm
history
even
Form 1
now.
and Form 2, agriculture Form 1 to Form 4, and Kiswahili
Which
Form
means they were
3 and
understaffed,
Form 4.
of course.
Yes.
That's what is.
Yeah,
I'm getting.
they were understaffed. So I had I had a lot of work to do.
Your workload was.
Yes. And I was to be at school by 6:30 a.m. and to come to the house at 6 in the evening. And by 6, I've not finished marking my books and writing lesson plans. You know, for teachers, you really need to update your paperwork. Yeah, schemes, lesson plans, lesson notes, and stuff, and those things. So I really had a hard time. And that's the time when now the manifestations of those the things of coming to school without taking a shower came up again.
So you had a relapse?
Yes.
Okay.
I now came to school, and there was this day when I go to school. I had long hair, by the way, and that's the reason I cut my hair. Yeah, I had long hair. I had not shaved. I had not combed my hair. I had not. I was just looking
a mess, unruly.
Yes. And there's one lady who asked me, "Are you sure you slept in the house?"
I know.
Yes, I told her yes. Then I realized I'm not okay. But luckily, we were almost closing.
Okay.
So I told myself I'll hold on until we close the school. Yeah, the term ends. And I tried my best. So I was very suicidal, very suicidal. I had stopped now all counseling. I'm not talking to people.
Yes.
I'm just living my life. I come to the house, I sleep. I was not eating. Yeah, I was not eating. And I remember I got to a point when I was only 40 kilograms.
You lost a lot of weight because really it was a very dark moment in your life.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just wondering, this time you're in campus, so no one in your family knows.
Nobody knows. They didn't even actually. I went to look for that job to pay fees for him, because he was a student and he needed money. So I had to work. Whether I'm okay or not, I really need to work because my brother needs to be in school. He had been sent home for fees. I remember that time. So I really need to work and get money, send him for
So as he's busy taking care of the little ones, you're also busy taking care of him.
Yes.
So he's the father of the little ones and you're the mother of him.
Yeah, at this time he is now in high school.
Yes.
Yeah, boarding school.
Yes.
So the young boys went to boarding school. They were in baby class.
They had to also go to boarding school. Because basically it's like, despite the fact that your mom left your dad, the effects of being in that relationship, they were still continuing because she was not able to really take care.
Yeah, she was not able.
Because, you know, what I would expect you to be saying is that maybe when she moved now, she got a job, she was able to pay your fees because of separating herself from... But Judy, tell us, these effects of domestic violence, they're really very long term.
They are. And first thing, we look at the stigma.
Yeah,
her biggest issue was she was stigmatized in campus. I am going through too much. Remember, I'm in my own shell. It's actually the effect you're seeing.
Yes.
And now you're confronting me. And not only are you confronting me, the rest also know. So at one point, a person who goes through domestic violence get to a point where they feel so alone in life. You know, in the midst of everybody who think that they are taking care of you, you are lonely. And that's what brings the suicidal ideations. You're like, I just want to get out of my life and move.
It's not working.
It's not working.
You're not seeing anything positive.
And it's good to note, most of them, when they go for the therapy and they get drugs, if you don't do the follow-up, 90% of them don't take them.
Yeah, like she said.
And that's why the next thing you hear about these people is that they have committed suicide. It has to be a very organized society responsibility to take care of this
person, very intentional.
This client. Our community is not very open to counseling. And this is what it's coming out to her. You can imagine she was in a higher institution of learning.
And you know what I expected to hear from you is that when you went to the counselor, it was such a good experience for you to be able to open up, and you took it with open arms, but you yourself also didn't like it.
I didn't.
There was
because
no support.
You want to hide it and hide it and hide it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is one, the stigma. Two, remember there is financial obligation.
Yes,
she has nobody to support her financially.
Yes.
And she's a girl, she has needs.
She does.
She can tell us the truth that maybe even her very deep personal girl need were not being met.
That's correct. Yes.
So even if you give me a lot of medication and my nurturing is not going on,
yet again, work. I need to to make ends meet.
Remember, she is a mother at home.
She's a mother. Yes.
This tells you how domestic violence have many ripple effects on the child.
Exactly.
When everybody thinks it's a small thing that we need to hide, we have to come to a point as a society we have to call it out. Because as you talk about suicide cases in this country, most of them, if you keenly go down, they are stemming from violence at home that has been left unattended. I'm glad you got counseling. I actually wanted to keep quiet and listen to that story more.
I know. Please tell us a little bit more, because now the term was almost coming to an end.
I completed the term, and that is the time now I had also completed my campus studies. So I went back to the village. And I didn't know where to pick it. I acted okay because I could not show my siblings that I'm going. And at that time, he was on holiday. I could not show them that I'm going through this and that. I decided I would leave home. I went and I volunteered somewhere in an NGO at Molo. So I became a volunteer for 3 months. Then after the 3 months, I graduated. But this thing, I was just hiding and acting. I would cry myself to sleep, and sometimes I would not even sleep. But in the morning, I'm in this NGO and helping, supporting street children and orphans. I just have to be there for them. Yeah. Because I was escaping now home. Yes. Yeah. So after that, again, now I got a job after graduation. I started teaching. I tried to just act like everything is okay and to put myself together, but things didn't work until again I had to find a professional counselor.
Did you now look for one yourself?
Yes, myself.
Now it was now a cry for you, and you're the one who did it. Nobody was pushing you.
Yeah, because there was a night again I almost committed suicide. Yes. Yeah. So the following morning I told myself, now I'm not going to do this again. I actually dragged myself. Yes. I bought a drink, I dragged myself, and I woke up in the morning on the floor, and I was just a mess. You know, the first time you're drinking, you have never done it. So I said, I really need to look for help. Because even at that time when I got a job, every Saturday I would call children that were living around my place in that rental house. I just gather them together because there was this heart of wanting to help, to reach out to kids. So I would invite them, we make porridge, and then I buy some bread, we eat together. They were my company at that time. So I told myself I really need to get help, and that's how I got a professional counselor, and we started working together. Also, the first time that we talked together, it was not easy for me. It wasn't easy for me, like 3 sessions. But this counselor was good because she followed up, and she's still even my counselor up to this time. Up to date. Yeah, she reached out and she helped. And sometimes she would even come to where I'm staying. Just to see, to check up on me. Yeah, and anytime I would call her anytime, and she was just there for me.
I totally celebrate her with you today because she did something that was so amazing. She gave it her. Actually, she went extra, way extra for you.
Yeah.
And we're happy to see that a lot of the work that you did has actually borne fruit. For you to be able to talk about this is actually a sign of healing. You know? Mordecai, what about you? How are you coping?
Okay. So I will really base my coping with 2 things. First, the people I met. Then the second one, I really loved reading books. So the books that I read really changed me a lot. I want to talk about my sister. So my sister would come home and she would have a lot of goodies for us. And she would encourage me to work very hard so that I get to KU. So for me, I just saw things are all right for her. So I didn't know that
the struggle.
the struggles that she was going through to pay my fee. I was just like, this is a girl, she's just getting excess money and thinking about paying my fee. So I really didn't, I was not into that very much. Secondly, at this moment at Form 1, I told you I was a little bit confused. So when she says that I was sent home for fee, me, I really didn't care. Like, it was something good. I could be sent home and go and walk the entire town. And
you're happy to just be idle and not having to study.
Yes, and not having to study and go at a cafe and eat. And we could really talk about classes and how school is boring. Then I could go home. I could extend. Even if she has sent the money, I could extend a little bit, then come back. But it reached this point, that's why I'm talking about the people I met, when my French teacher sat me down and told me that, really, do you know that you are a great leader and you can do this? You can actually make a very good person in the society. So that's when I realized that people around me were knowing that there is something amiss with me. And even I myself, I was realizing that there is something that is wrong.
That is off.
That is off. Because I could like go attend festivals, drama, be happy, be chased home and be happy. But I was not at peace with classwork. So this was the time that I started changing a little bit. When the teacher sat me down and told me that actually you can make it. There are people who have had very many problems, but they still came out successful in this school. So at this moment I sat down, took a diary and saw how I could balance my social life and my academic life.
Okay.
And this was the changing point,
Yes.
because at this moment I started involving myself in very many things.
Mhm.
I involved myself in debates. I
Yes.
even went up to the East African levels and debated with very many people from other countries.
Yes.
I involved myself in music. I could go up to national level,
Yes.
other things, very many other things that I started doing.
Okay.
Two, I started reading a lot of books.
Okay.
So I really, at this moment I was grown up,
Mhm.
so I really wanted to know what is the reason behind the violence that has traumatized us for this long.
Yes. Oh, you started looking
I started looking
books
for books, yes.
to
for
try and understand it
to
that
try and
way.
understand, yes, why did this happen?
To us.
Yes, how
to
did this
me.
happen? But I could not talk to people. I didn't, by the way, I've really kept my private life to myself.
Because I was about to
really-
ask you, like this
yes.
teacher, did you share with them, or did they just notice something was wrong and try and encourage you?
I think my teacher just noticed, because sometimes I could. The way
So
I
it's
was
not that you
dressing.
told them?
Yes, it's not that I told them. The way I was dressing, the way I was doing things.
So you're happy to not to work, to be home, to
not
do
to be
nothing.
home. Yes. So he's just told Mordecai was sent home, and I told you I was only bright in languages.
Yes.
So he took me as a bright kid at home,
Yeah.
and that's what really encouraged me.
Okay.
So I started reading these books. So I read Romeo and Juliet. I read The Effects of Love, how Romeo is killing himself, and all those kinds of things. I really read a lot of books at this moment, and
To try and figure things out in
figure
your
things
head.
out. Yes. So there was this impression that, you see, love is really a dangerous thing, and I started thinking that I could actually live independently and still achieve my own dreams by myself.
So
And
you're like, love
yes,
is,
yes.
those things
So
should
it's
be
not
avoided.
for me. Yeah, it's something to be avoided, because it has had effect on myself, and it has affected my siblings. So why go for it?
Yeah.
So I started securing a path that is very independent and very personal. So I could participate in really very many things to cover up the others. I
Yeah.
started winning. So at this moment, it was now in Form 2. I
Yes.
started winning academic awards, from becoming very bottom
I know.
to coming up in several subjects. I was not bright in everything like my sister here. I was only bright in a few things. So I maximized.
focused on this
area
of talent.
And so for the prestige that came, I was really happy. I really like to be praised at this moment. You know, you are doing good, what. So I could be top in 3 subjects.
Wow.
Bottom in other 2.
But you forget about the
yes,
other
but
two.
I've overcome the other
The
2.
3 that are working.
They're working, yes. And it really
And
works.
go with them
And I
to
go
national
with them,
level,
yes.
East African level.
Yes, yes, such like things. That's how I coped up very well. I started securing a path at this moment in Form 2. I started thinking about doing a job. Okay, things about career.
Yes.
Career fairs came in. So I was thinking, which job can I do best? I looked at technology, other things.
And all this thing, like when you're making a career choice, you've no parent to take you through it.
Not really.
It's you yourself and the books.
Yes. First of all, my daddy never visited me in school. I'm not sure if he knows where my school is up to the moment.
Yes.
Second, my mom never talked about career. She capitalized on bad grades. I could come home and look at my report and just say, go away, I don't want to see you. But my sister will tell me, you see, if you just work a little bit harder, you can come to KU. And I really had that impression. I remember there was a time I was going to her graduation. I could see her graduate and say, why can't here? And immediately after 1 year, I was at KU at the same graduation ground that she was. And I was really very happy. So at this moment, as I've told you, I kept off social life. If somebody could ask me, by the way, where do you come from? What? I will tell them, why don't you just mind your own business?
Yeah, because you don't, basically you started avoiding attachments with people close. And Judy, I think that's one of the effects that you talked about. Like, I'm sure, you know, like Deborah has already mentioned that she doesn't want to have a family, same as you. Yes. Do you think that is stemming up because of their family, or are there other?
Thank you. I'm actually very happy that this story is coming up, because as a society, they're helping us to handle the elephant in the room. We keep talking that when these children finish campus, they don't want to get families. They're telling us, a family is good, why should they get into one? They saw a lot of pain, a lot of suffering in those families. So you look at a society that is raising a generation that is just not ready to go through what the parents went through.
Of course.
The effect of domestic violence are so great, yet we underrate them. These kids will never want to get families. You know, these kids never enjoyed their childhood. So at one point when they get to a point where they're independent, they are trying to recover their childhood.
They lost.
So even if they get jobs, what are people supposed to do with their job? Enjoy. You'll find them in the pub being so wild. And now you say, what is up with this generation? This is a product that we raised as a community. I think these are very special people that were able to deal with it. But I want us to look at a generation that is not dealing with it. They are just shutting it. Like he's saying, you ask me about my family, I'm wondering, why are you thinking about my family? Mind
You
your
don't
own
want anybody
business.
to come close to you.
You can imagine, he will pass his exam and be a very successful man. But anytime you tell him we want a family, what message you look at from him? Excuse me, there's nothing good about family. But I'm glad he's here with me today because we're going to walk that journey with him.
Guess what? We need to wind up the show, and we need a parting shot from Deborah and Mordecai before time is completely up.
Okay, I'll just say this. For those people who have undergone domestic violence or intimate partner violence, let them reach out for help. They are good counselors. And by the way, I have a very good counselor, and she's open. You can reach out to her. She's called Grace Kariuki Nderitu. Yeah, you can reach out to her. She is of great help. Just get to be counseled and to be. Don't hide it. Yeah, don't hide it and don't act okay. Yeah, and I also appreciate all those people who have helped, like my teacher Sarah Sabwami, the high school teacher. So let's just reach out to them, and if you realize that somebody has a problem, if they share it with you, please help them to cope it. Yeah, don't talk about it.
Don't like what happened there.
Yeah.
Keep it confidential. Even as you continue to help.
Yeah, true.
All right. What about Mordecai? What can you tell the viewers as the parting shot?
So what I can tell the viewers is that children are a very important part of the society. You are a role model to a child, whether you know it or not, whether you know you are modeling the child or not. She or he will just be looking at your life and following. So live your life very well, create a good legacy, and don't get yourself into violences, things that are family, because these things come to affect the children in future and leave them with very many questions.
And scars. All right. I'm telling you, this is one of those topics that we can go on and on and on. But viewer, thank you so much for joining us. Remember that the effects of domestic violence are so many. So if you find yourself in that situation, the earlier you leave, the better. In fact, Deborah told us the last time that there's no point of thinking that you're staying for your children. The effects on your children is so much, it's better if you leave early. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.